But the whole time you're looking at Miss Lori, Miss
Yeah.
Jennifer. Okay, I just want to make sure.
You can call me Lori, I don't care. I pretend I can. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Look at Miss Alberta.
Can you say a little something about what organization you work with?
My organization is called Parents with Incarcerated Children, as well as the Pardon Me Project.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome. Back in 1979, I was hired as a correctional officer down in Smyrna, Delaware, the prison here in Smyrna. And I worked there for over 4 or 5 years until we transferred out. When I went to Gander Hill, and it's called a different name. And I got there, I worked there for many years, but one day I was working in booking and receiving. And that's when people come in from, like the police bring them in or the probation don't bring them in for violation. And I was looking down and the door's open, so I looked up at the camera and, I seen people coming, so I looked back down again and I heard one of my colleagues say, Butler, because that's what we used to call each other, Butler, you can call by your last name, Officer Butler, Officer Phelps, whatever. And when I looked up, my son was standing at the door. And one of my colleagues knew, and he came over and he sat by me and said, are you okay? I was numb, I couldn't cry, I'm just looking and he's looking at me like, Mom, help, help. And little did I know that when he came in and after I found out, my son never gave me no indication that he was on drugs. Never. He was always big, healthy, played ball, the whole 9 yards. Never, and lived with me. Never had that clue, never had that idea. After that, he stayed there, he was in and out for some time. I sent him to the best drug programs, everything. And he kept coming back, and every time he got clean, he would be clean for like 6, 7 months, and still then keep coming back to prison. That situation put me into where I'm at today. When he came to prison, my world was upside down. Every day I had to leave that prison and leave my son behind, knowing that he was there. It was a very hard road. And so I know how parents felt now. I didn't know how they felt then until I experienced it. I was sitting in the governor's mansion trying to get a grant to help people get their pardons and expungements and to help them transition out of prison to make sure they had clothes and shelter and money in their pocket and transportation. And I got a phone call, my body wasn't right. I couldn't sit still in the meeting. I never not go to a meeting that don't sit still. And one of the young ladies at my church called me and said, what you doing, Minister Butler? And I said, no, I'm at a meeting. I'm whispering, I'm at a meeting. She said, well, who's by you? And that rang the bell. So I took the phone and gave it to the lady, and I just stood there in a still moment. And when I stood there, that's when they told me that my son had died of an overdose in somebody's house. My sister called me at that time and said, I'm on my way. And she brought another lady with her because she didn't know how I was acting at that time. I broke, I lost it. When I met my sister, she said, Clancy's dead. And I ran in the middle of 13. And I see now today why she brought the lady that was bigger than me so she could bear hug me, and that's what she did. I went to psychiatrist after that. I went to Brewer's body, but I lost it. But all that I've been through and all that I'm going through, that I do still miss him, I took all this and I said, I'm gonna help another parent not to have to go through this. I was sitting home one day and I was like, God, you gotta help me. I was like messed up. I live by myself, he's my only child, and I just kept saying, God, you gotta help me. So through this process and this journey that I went on, but I put my mind into gear and I wrote my first newsletter, Stumbling Guards Tell Story. Then I wrote that my pain became my purpose. I wrote a new newsletter for parents that would come in, I would pass them out to get them through their moments because they would come crying, they would couldn't understand it. When people are released from prison, when people are released, they don't have nothing set up. So I kept looking at all the stuff that I know that they needed, and I kept jotting it down, keeping it in my memory bank. I said, when I retire from here, little did I know, I didn't think I was gonna retire sooner than I did, but when I retired, I went full-fledged into my organization, and I never looked back. I started a scholarship fund for kids that had parents or fathers or mothers incarcerated. And I took them parents and I took them children and I gave them scholarships for the last 8 years. I helped with pardons and expungement. I did over 500 pardons and expungements to get people's records clear. I transport still to this day. I still give clothes out. We do coat drives. We do everything. We give food out. But to go back on my son's journey, it's been a pleasant journey now. And the reason why I say pleasant because I'm helping other people. It has been a joy. It has been outstanding. I have met so many outstanding people. Do I miss my child? Absolutely. Every time I do something good for somebody, I look at them and say, see, Claiborne, we did it. It ain't me, it's him. We did it. I want to speak to every parent out there that has a child or a loved one incarcerated. I know all too well the feeling of my son being addicted to drugs. I know too all well when somebody's parents is incarcerated and the kids is left with someone else. I've seen it, I lived it, I experienced it, and I know it. I would encourage any parent that has a child or any loved one incarcerated. It is a rough road, but I encourage them to go on to mapping your way through because the information is so vital. I tell any parent, don't put your head down, put your head up. Don't look away, look forward, because you can get through this if you get the right information. God bless you.